Pell-mell, smoke longer and finer and milder pell-mell.
To offer you one of the new ones. Dunhill king size with new cork tip.
Ever wonder how some of Hollywood's biggest names look so flawless on camera, yet battled unthinkable pressures behind the scenes? So they chose smoking as the way they release stress and anxiety. Hence, they became addicted to the smoking as the part of their lives. The flame of cancers eventually called their name. Here is the list of most 25 famous Hollywood stars. Timeless faces, hidden addictions. Audrey Hepburn captivated audiences in films like Roman Holiday and Breakfast at Tiffany's, her elegance sparking an entire movement in fashion. Behind those iconic black gloves and perfect posture, though, Audrey reached for cigarettes as early as her teens. She reportedly burned through up to 3 packs a day, even while filming. Over time, the physical cost snuck up on her. She faced abdominal cancer in her 60s, a devastating blow for someone so outwardly graceful. Many fans never realized how much she endured in private, until it was too late. Walt Disney was synonymous with animated magic, crafting classics that comforted children around the globe. Yet, away from that wholesome image, he chain-smoked cigarettes so intensely that studio officials grew desperate to keep the habit hidden. Photos capturing Walt with a cigarette in hand were quietly retouched, and even dramatizations of his life cut scenes showing him lighting up. Sadly, the toll on his lungs grew relentless. Lung cancer eventually claimed him, and that loss reverberated across Hollywood. If the smiling visionary behind Mickey Mouse could fall to his own habit, who else might be spiraling? Vivien Leigh, the timeless star of Gone with the Wind, delivered a fierce portrayal of Scarlett O'Hara that electrified cinema. Fame wrapped her in both celebration and relentless scrutiny. To cope with exhausting shoot schedules and personal anxieties, she smoked heavily. Some claim she reached 4 packs a day, an astonishing feat given her slender frame. Tuberculosis compounded her deteriorating health, yet she refused to slow down. Even as her immune system faltered, her routine rarely changed, and the unstoppable actress finally succumbed at just 53. But that wasn't the only sobering reminder that Hollywood glamour can't always hide private turmoil. Musical mavericks and fateful secrets. Julie London's sultry singing voice made her a torch song legend, and her starring roles in films such as Saddle the Wind revealed her range. Yet behind that smooth stage presence, she chain-smoked up to 3 packs a day. Producers once loved her smoky vocals, but the constant nicotine tore her lungs apart. Over time, her voice began to weaken, and she was hit with one health crisis after another, none she could fully beat. Eventually, cancer ended her life, showing that even the most melodic tones can't drown out dire health risks. Daisy Arnaz, forever immortalized as Ricky Ricardo from I Love Lucy, juggled an endless production schedule, high stakes, and heavy habits. Cuban cigars became his signature accessory. Much like many on this list, Daisy's lifestyle wore him down until he finally faced the grim reality of lung cancer. Though he briefly embraced sobriety near the end, that victory came too late, and the disease claimed him not long afterward. Keith Richards of the Rolling Stones was so embedded in the rock and roll lifestyle that fans practically expected a Haas cigarette in his hand at all times. From the stage to album covers, that edgy image was front and center. But multiple brushes with the law and health scares led him to cut down on more dangerous substances. He eventually kicked smoking with the help of nicotine patches, leaving the public amazed that the rock legend managed to outlive many of his peers. People still wonder how he dodged the worst possible outcomes, and whether that luck might finally run out someday. George Forby was once the highest-paid entertainer in the UK, known for strumming his ukulele and charming audiences with cheerful tunes. Behind that cheerful grin, though, he smoked dozens of cigarettes daily and endured repeated warnings from doctors after suffering a heart attack. Instead of quitting, he called his cigarettes coffin nails and carried on. Those nails caught up to him eventually, and further heart problems proved fatal. Johnny Cash, famously dubbed the Man in Black, wore his troubles in his music, touching on regret, sorrow, and glimpses of redemption. He also started smoking at an alarmingly young age, just 13. Over the decades, the combination of cigarettes and pills hammered his body with severe pneumonia, heart issues, and other complications. While he finally quit smoking to protect his voice, diabetes-related struggles led to his passing not long after the death of his beloved wife. And that heartbreak spelled the end for a country legend who had once defied every obstacle in his path. But the small screen had its share of relentless chain smokers, too. TV legends, the high cost of habit. David Jansen became a household name through The Fugitive, known for portraying intense, emotionally driven heroes. What viewers didn't see was the chain smoking behind the scenes, 4 packs a day at times, that worsened his health until a sudden heart attack seized him at just 48. His passing was a gut punch to fans who believed he still had decades of performances left. Charles Lane outlived many co-stars, passing the century mark with a famously grouchy demeanor in both film and TV. In a bizarre twist, he smoked a pack a day for 7 entire decades, only quitting once he could hardly breathe. Lane joked he must be a medical anomaly. Eventually, frailty caught up to him, and while he reached an advanced age most smokers never see, the final years were overshadowed by the health decline that a lifetime of cigarettes can bring. Jack Webb, the tough detective from Dragnet, had a near-legendary tolerance for nicotine. Despite suffering from asthma, he sometimes smoked 3 or 4 packs a day. When one doctor warned him that the next cigarette might be his last, Webb simply found a different doctor. Ads for Chesterfield cigarettes even featured him. In a cruel twist, his heart and lungs gave out for good in his early 60s, cutting short a legacy that shaped how the world viewed procedural dramas. Michael Landon, the friendly face from Little House on the Prairie and Highway to Heaven, kept a supply of unfiltered cigarettes ever at the ready, often 4 packs daily. He also drank regularly, stirring a complicated mix that threatened his health. Pancreatic cancer blindsided him in 1991, but even that shocking diagnosis didn't make him quit immediately. He passed away shortly thereafter, leaving fans worldwide mourning the man they knew as an eternal father figure on TV. Al Lewis, best remembered as Grandpa from the Munsters, always enjoyed a cheap cigar, flaunting it with a mischievous grin. Somehow, he avoided catastrophic lung problems and lived into his 80s. By the end, natural causes took him, and his ashes were placed in a favorite cigar box, a final ironic nod to the pastime that so many find impossible to shake. But that's not where the revelations stop. Comedy greats masking unseen battles. Marty Feldman, best remembered for his bug-eyed comedic brilliance in Young Frankenstein, brought razor-sharp wit to everything he touched. Audiences adored his eccentric looks, but few realized he chain-smoked like there was no tomorrow, sometimes up to 5 packs a day. His comedic genius couldn't spare him from the real-life consequences of overwork and constant nicotine. Filming in Mexico City proved fatal for his already strained heart. He died in his hotel room at just 48, prompting admirers to reflect on the heavy price he paid for his meteoric success. John Candy enchanted fans in planes, trains, and automobiles, and Uncle Buck blending slapstick humor with heartwarming sincerity. Yet off-screen, Candy had an ongoing struggle with extreme weight gain, high stress, and constant smoking. He tried more than once to quit, unsuccessfully. His intense filming schedule in Mexico for Wagons East proved too taxing for his heart. And he died in his sleep at just 43. It stunned the world to lose such a beloved comedic force so suddenly. Red Fox was the quick-witted star of Sanford and Son, famous for his gruff yet lovable style. While his character left viewers doubled over with laughter, away from the camera, he carried a crippling chain-smoking habit and a mountain of financial troubles. Fox rarely appeared without a cigarette, sometimes going through 4 or 5 packs daily. This grueling routine hammered his heart over the years. He kept performing until a final heart attack struck on set, ending the life of one of comedy's most iconic voices. Oscar Levant, another comedic personality, though more renowned for his musical prowess, was equally tethered to cigarettes. He joked on live broadcasts about his incessant heart flutters and unstoppable smoking habit. It was no laughing matter. Plagued by mental health challenges, Levant found himself in and out of hospitals. Eventually, a heart attack claimed him, underscoring that comedy often conceals the darker truths only a few ever see. Still, these comedic icons were not the only entertainers scorched by risky choices. Stage and screen divas, Tula Bankhead enthralled audiences with her flamboyant personality and deep voice, shining in roles like Lifeboat. Starting at scandalous parties in New York, she smoked over 100 cigarettes a day, sometimes claiming the lifestyle fueled her fierce energy. The reality, she nearly destroyed her lungs, and repeated infections left her body vulnerable to pneumonia. At 66, her unstoppable attitude finally met its end through respiratory failure, devastating fans who adored her brutal honesty and glamorous persona. Kathleen Turner's husky voice defined a generation of film noir leads in Body Heat and comedic blockbusters like Romancing the Stone. While it helped make her a star, that distinctive rasp grew worse from chain smoking. Eventually, rheumatoid arthritis seized hold, and the pain made her lean on alcohol. She tried to curb her habits, but the damage was done. Though she still works in TV and voice acting, her life changed drastically once her body demanded she slow down. Suzanne Plett soared to fame on The Bob Newhart Show, recognized as a warm presence with a uniquely melodious voice. That same mesmerizing tone deteriorated over time, thanks to heavy smoking. Only after decades of 2-pack-a-day routines did she finally quit. But the harm to her lungs was irreversible. A diagnosis of advanced cancer followed, and she left. The world in her early 70s, a reminder that success on camera doesn't shield anyone from the consequences of cigarettes. Barbara Stanwyck, the wisecracking star of Double Indemnity and The Big Valley, carried a tragic backstory. Orphaned young and introduced to smoking by her teens, she used cigarettes as a coping mechanism. It gave her a tough persona on and off-screen, but in her later years, repeated respiratory ailments forced her to scale back. She passed at 82 from a heart condition coupled with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, leaving behind a powerful Hollywood legacy, but also a cautionary tale of how stress plus constant smoking can seal even the fiercest star's fate. Before long, other bold names faced equally ruthless battles when the spotlight burns too bright. Patrick Suey, whose dancing in Dirty Dancing and heartbreak performance in Ghost turned him into a romantic icon, battled alcohol and an unshakable craving for nicotine. Close friends say he'd sometimes go through 60 cigarettes a day. After a diagnosis of advanced pancreatic cancer, Suey openly connected his smoking to the illness. He fought bravely, but at just 57 he was gone, leaving admirers to wonder what might have been had he kicked the habit sooner. Carrie Hamilton, the daughter of comedy legend Carol Burnett, wrestled with drug use and cigarettes as a teen. Though she later achieved moments of clarity and sobriety, lung cancer struck in her late 30s. She discovered it had spread to her brain, a horrific turn for someone who'd finally found her artistic voice. Gone too soon at 38, her fate underscored that the shadow of heavy smoking can linger long after one decides to quit. Burgess Meredith, beloved for portraying the gruff trainer Mickey in the Rocky series and the sneering Penguin in Batman, once had a chilling dream that convinced him to stop smoking. Yet returning to the role of the Penguin lured him back to cigarettes on set. That character's famous quacking laugh was his way of hiding real coughing fits. Ultimately, illnesses including Alzheimer's and melanoma overtook him. He passed away at 89, leaving behind a legacy of unforgettable performances and an example of how even quitting can be complicated when a role demands otherwise. Raul Julia dazzled on Broadway and in memorable roles like Gomez Adams. Known for relishing Cuban cigars daily, he chalked up the habit as part of his cultured persona. When stomach cancer struck, he initially refused to halt his busy filming schedule. A subsequent infection compounded the strain on his body, and a stroke sent him into a coma. This brilliant actor never awakened, reminding everyone that brilliance on stage offers no immunity from damaging indulgences.
Every star we've explored left an undeniable mark on Hollywood. Yet these cautionary stories reveal how even the brightest talents grapple with hidden vulnerabilities. Their cameras stopped rolling, but their memories prompt an important question.
Just how many modern artists might also be risking everything behind that glamorous curtain? If these astonishing stories made you hungry for more behind-the-scenes discoveries, stick around. There's always a new angle to explore and more eye-opening truths to reveal in the intricate world of fame.